Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 102 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. Today is Saturday, March the 12th, 2022, and we've got a stormy day here today. Winter has come back. We had a bit of a snowstorm that came through overnight and most of this morning. I think we got somewhere between 4 and 6 inches of snow came down. It's a wet, heavy stuff. And now it's brightened up. The snow has stopped, but it's really windy out there, so a lot of it's blowing all over the place. So hubby and I have zero places to be at today, so we're staying home, staying inside, staying dry, warm, and not worrying about what the weather's doing outside for us. So more time to knit. So if you're a new viewer, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've been up to. I'm happy to have you here with me too. So what have I been up to this past week? First off, if my voice sounds a little bit off here and there, I came down with a head cold this past week. Sunday morning I woke up and my head was completely stuffed up. Nothing else, just completely stuffed up head. My husband had had it the first half of the last week. Remember I was saying last week he wasn't feeling 100%? He was just getting over a cold and he was kind enough to share it with me. So I'm feeling much better now. I just have a little bit of sinus congestion still going on. Tiny bit of coughing here and there, but nothing major. I'm back to normal. But it impacted my knitting a little bit this week, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. So this past week I've worked on two whips. I've worked on my Angle Crystal socks, the Sock Madness 16 qualifying round socks, and I worked on my Ochio Cardigan, the crochet cardigan. I had hoped to spend more of my time knitting, but as I found out, cold medicine and knitting twisted stitches and cables and all that fun stuff don't mix that well. Anyway, so my Ochio cardigan, as I showed you last week, I had the one panel was complete, and I had done the initial part of the second panel. I had the mesh portion done, and since then I completed that and added a lot more to the body portion of the cardigan, and it's probably a little bit over halfway done now. So this is the Ochio cardigan. It's a pattern by Little Red Knits, and it's it's crocheted in two large pieces that you stitch together and then add sleeves. I have a sinking suspicion that I will run out of yarn before I finish the cardigan, so we will see if it turns out to be a vest or a cardigan with 3/4 length sleeves, maybe. We shall see. I'm using 6.5 millimeter needle or size K crochet hook, and I'm using Karen Simply Soft. I had a fair bit of that in my stash, and this year I'm really aiming to try to use up a bunch of my stash. I have tons of yarn, and I really do want to use it up and do something with a lot of it instead of always buying more, although I do love buying more yarn. So this is in Dark Country Blue is the color, and like I say, I made a good amount of progress. There were several evenings this past week where working on the socks while taking cold medicine was not working well. So I got a fair bit done on this past week. So maybe by next week we will have the body of the cardigan done. Come back and find out. So that's my Ochio cardigan. So again, it's a crochet pattern, paid pattern on Ravelry. I think it was on Ravelry. Anyway, it's a paid pattern by Little Red Knits, and it's a really nice pattern. It's well written and I'm really enjoying it. My other whip, tea break first. My other whip is my Sock Madness, the pattern I'm working on right now. So as I talked about at a lot of length last week and the week before, and I will be talking about quite a bit in upcoming weeks, Sock Madness is underway, and I love Sock Madness. So as I talked about in the last couple episodes, Sock Madness is back underway, and we are partway through working through the qualifying round. And I have not finished them yet, but I'm making fantastic progress. This pattern is called Angle Crystal, and it's by Kaya Gossens. And I am loving this pattern, and I'm tangled up. Get untangled. There we go. I am making really good progress. When I saw you last week, one sock I had completed I had done both cuffs, and on one sock I had finished the leg portion, which was this part. Since then, I have finished the second leg. I've done both the heel flaps, both the heel turns. The heel turn is done on both, and on one sock I have completed all of the gusset decreasing, and I'm ready to do 2 more repeats of the pattern on the leg, or 2 more repeats of the cable-y pattern to go down the foot on one sock. The other sock, same thing. The leg is complete, heel turn is complete, or the heel flap is complete, the heel turn is complete, and I've done all of the gusset decreasing, and the foot is almost 100% complete. As I've mentioned in the past, I like doing my socks, especially when they're these competition socks, I like doing them 2 at a time in tandem. So I'll do one cuff, then the second, and I'll go back and forth. I'll do one leg, which is what you saw last week. 2 cuffs and 1 leg were complete. So then I went back and I did the second leg, and then I did both heel turn, or both heel flaps, then both heel turns. Then I did the gusset decreasing on one, then the gusset decreasing on the second one, and that's where I've finished on one of the socks. And then I went on and continued working down the foot on one sock that's next on this sock. And then I'll move on to there's a little completion portion. I think that's the best way of calling it. What it does is there's one more small chart to go through, which will finish off the little cable designs so that they don't just kind of end abruptly. So it's going to be, I think it's 8 or 10 rounds, between 8 and 15 rounds, I'd have to double check, where it's going to continue with the cable patterns, but we'll bring them to a conclusion, then we'll have the toe. I really love the pattern on the bottom of the foot. That is such a neat design. It's a 4-row repeat, and I think it looks really cool. It's also going to make for a nice squishy sole of the foot when you're wearing them. So those are my angle crystal socks. So the qualifying round finishes or closes at around 12 something, just after noon Eastern time in the United States. The qualifying round will be done, and I am on pace to finish them. I got a little bit behind this past week. Here's where the story about cold medicine and knitting don't mix comes together. When I had finished the first sock, had finished the leg, and I was working on the second one. And I had one repeat done on the leg, and I was working on this, I was about halfway through the second repeat on the leg. So I was at about this point here. And I realized I had made a mistake. I had dropped a stitch, and I could not for the life of me fix it, or catch it, or get the twists and the cables and the purl stitches and all those things. I could not get that all back together again. So I thought, okay, well, I'll try to just unravel back just a little bit past where I made the mistake. So I got to that point and I could not get the stitches picked up properly because they're twisted stitches and they were they were all wonky, and purl stitches and knit stitches together on the same row. It was not working at all. So I got cranky with it. I probably should have put it down and tried again with a clear head in the morning. Well, my head wasn't clear for several days, but I probably should have put it down and come back to it later. But I got annoyed enough with it that I unraveled all the way back to nothing. So I re-knit the leg. I've actually knit 3 legs, almost 3 legs now. So that put me a little behind. So I had to redo the cuff, I had to redo the leg, and then I got back working on it fine. But that lost me a fair bit of time. So I have the rest of today where I think I plan on, I'm going to go move back to the second sock and do the last 2 repeats on the cabling design. I'm hoping to get that done today. I'm actually hoping that I can get these completely finished by the end of the day Sunday. But I'm not 100% sure if I will be able to get it finished that quickly. Sunday I will have a bunch of other things that I have to get done. We have church in the morning, assuming that the weather smartens up and is fine to go out in the morning. I suspect it will be just fine. So I won't have as much time in the morning. I'll lose most of the morning on Sunday. I'll have a little bit of time in the afternoon, although we're just finishing off spring break at work right now, and Monday we're back at work. So I will have to make sure all of my materials are ready for my students for Monday morning, and I typically spend several hours on that every Sunday afternoon, early evening, getting that all put together and organized and ready for my students. So I'm hoping to get these socks finished by the end of the day tomorrow. If not, then I suspect I should be able to get them 100% done on Monday. So I should be able to get the qualifying socks done before the deadline. And that should allow me to move ahead into the next round of Sock Madness. I would be very disappointed if I didn't make it out of the qualifying round. It's only happened once, but I'm really hoping I will make it through into the rest of the competition. Stay tuned, come back next week and see if that did happen. If I've got them done. I'm 99.9% sure that they will be done in plenty of time to qualify. So then in that case, then once the socks are done, I will be switching back to the cardigan and getting that done. And so I'm hoping maybe next week I'll have 2 finished objects to show you. Cross your fingers, we might have 2 finished objects to see next week. And if that's the case, then I might also, I'll probably, if I finish Ochio, I will probably start another non-sock pattern. I don't know what yet. I'm kind of leaning towards deciding on a pattern to work on with the 5 or 6 skeins of this tealy greeny blue I made in fingering weight yarn. So I'm still considering using that and making something with that. Or I'm also considering maybe using one of these skeins or maybe one of my fingering weight yarns and maybe doing up a little, not a complete baby sweater, but a little sweater for, well, she's a 5-month-old. A woman I know has a 5-month-old daughter that I'm thinking I might want to make a little sweater for her. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about that. But otherwise, this is, I guess, a little bit of a shorter episode. I basically spent, that's the 4th military type vehicle that's just gone past. 6, 7. Wonder what's going on. 8. Must be doing some kind of exercises somewhere around here. I've never seen that many going through downtown here. Interesting. Okay, sorry, I got completely distracted there. Ooh. And my focus completely disappeared on us. Now I have no idea where I left off before I got distracted there. So this is a little bit of a shorter episode today. Being sick this past week and not doing an awful lot more than just crafting and resting and being sick. I didn't do much of anything else. Nothing interesting or exciting other than staying home the whole time. Oh well, such is life. But hopefully next week you'll see 2 finished objects and something new. And hopefully it's not too long until they've got the official round 1 of Sock Madness going and the team's settled. So on that note, I shall let you go and take care everyone, and I will see you guys again in a week. Bye.